My name is Hannah, and this is my beauty budget. Once again, I'm looking very washed out in the monitor. I wonder if I changed some settings when I filmed before. Did that help? I think that was it. I had left the manual focus on. I had to turn manual focus on to do the overhead filming, and I think for some reason the manual focus setting was like flattening the frame and making me really washed out, because now I look normal again. Okay, well, sorry for those past two videos. Can you guys tell that I'm filming all of these intros and outros one after another all on the same day? I'm just changing my lipstick and my top. And just so you know, I mean, I do like having a different outfit on for every video. It provides some texture and excitement in my life, but also I do it so that I can keep the footage separated from itself in post, because if I filmed two different videos wearing exactly the same outfit and then uploaded all of that footage together, it would be a nightmare to figure out where one ends and the other one begins. And this way I can just tell at a glance which footage goes with which video, because I'm wearing a different sweater and a different lipstick. I don't do it for you, darling. I do it for me. I mean, I do it for you too. It's for both of us. All right, this is my face palette declutter. That's what this is. My face palette declutter. I decluttered my face palettes. There weren't very many. Now there are even fewer of them, and I couldn't be happier. I have nothing else to say in this introduction. It's going to be a short one. Let's go ahead and get into the meat of the video. These are all of my face palettes, basically blush and highlighting palettes, and I think there are two bronzers in one of them. Let's go ahead and get started with the declutter. I don't think any of these are nasty enough to throw away, so this declutter is going to consist of two piles: the pile of face palettes that I love and want to keep using, and the pile of face palettes that I'm going to try to rehome with friends and or family. This is the Becca Blushed with Light Blush Trio palette, and it was a gift from Wendy. These three blushes are Wisteria, Songbird, and Snapdragon. There is no way that I would consider giving up this palette right now, and it's mostly because I've been reaching for it almost every day as an eyeshadow palette. I've been using all three of these shadows, but especially Wisteria and I think Songbird as a close second, to set my eyelid primer and to put down a base for a warm, blushy eye look. This has been front and center in my vanity lately, and usually when I use one of these blushes to set my eye primer and to build an eye look, I'll also use it on my cheeks to keep the look cohesive. I've been getting so much really good use out of this lately. I'm so grateful to Wendy for sending it to me, and I'm definitely going to keep it. This is the Nars Board de Plage palette, and I believe that it is discontinued, to my grief, because this contains probably my all-time favorite highlighter. So there are the four highlights. We have Rivage, Creek, Corniche, and Gallet. And this is Nars's new formula for highlighters, so the Becca formula, and it's also their new formula for bronzers. So I believe that this is Casino down here and Laguna up here. These are their iconic bronzers, so that one's Casino and that one's Laguna. I like them. I actually particularly like Casino because it has sort of a reddish undertone, and I tend to use bronzers basically as blush. Like, I'll just put them on the high points of my face rather than all around to try to darken my skin. So I tend to use Casino actually when I use these guys. So I know that Nars recently released singles of a lot of their highlighters in this same formula. Assuming that it is truly the same as this, they are gorgeous. This is a gorgeous new formula. I mean, relatively new. It's new as of like a year and a half ago that Nars has come out with. Unfortunately, I don't think any of the newly released single highlighters is Rivage, and none of them is as bright and white as Rivage is. And it's that kind of bright whiteness with a tiny bit of, I think, like multi-dimensional sparkle underneath it that makes it just the glossiest and most lovely, natural, wet-looking powder on my skin. I do have pan on this, and I will keep using it until it's completely gone. If only for this highlighter, I would keep this, but I do enjoy using the rest of them from time to time as well. This is a beautiful palette, and I'm glad that I bought it. The Anastasia Beverly Hills Moonchild palette. I think it's pretty clear what's going on in this palette just from looking. So Pink Heart has so much of a dip in it that there's a little bit of pan right there in the middle. Purple Horseshoe is also pretty well dug into, and then Blue Moon, Lucky Clover, Star, and Blue Ice look pretty much untouched. I bought this palette for this color actually. I really wanted purple at the time, and then I ended up really loving Pink Heart, and I never used the other four. So I hope that this won't scandalize too many of you, but I think that what I'm going to do with this palette is to depot it. I would love to have Pink Heart as a highlighter in a single pan, because I will sometimes take this when I go traveling, because I usually want to wear this when I'm going to an event, when I'm going to a tango event, something glamorous, something exciting and unusual. And for those events, I'm usually traveling. And it's kind of a bummer to take this whole big palette with 4 shades that I never use just for this one little highlighter when I travel to those events. I think I'm going to depot this. I'm going to keep Purple Horseshoe, and I'm going to keep Pink Heart, and I'm going to put these 4 into another magnetic palette and give it away or send them individually to friends who I know have magnetic palettes. So this is kind of a combo. I'm going to rehome 4 of these highlighters, and I'm going to keep 2 of them. So I'm going to put it down here for now. This is the Nars Narcissist Unfiltered one. This is just a stunning piece of makeup. It's one of my favorite things in my makeup collection. I love everything about it. I love this beautiful packaging with this kind of glossy mirrored lid. I love all of these blushes. I don't particularly love this highlighter because it's got a pretty strong gold undertone and it doesn't look super great on me, but all of these, especially this one, which I've recently fallen extra in love with, it looks brown in the pan, but then it buffs out to this gorgeous rosy, bronzy sheen that really works on my skin. I really, really love this. I cherish this. I think if I had to get rid of 3/4 of my makeup collection, this is probably one of the things that would make it through. So I'm definitely going to keep this one. And then here we have this old school Morphe blush palette. I believe it's the 9B. Yeah, it's the 9B. This is a pretty palette, and Morphe blushes are very, very pigmented. And I think that both of those qualities are the downfall of this palette in this declutter. It's pretty because it's so dynamic. There are a bunch of colors in here that I don't have. Like, I don't have a blush this color, I don't have a blush this color, I don't really have a blush that color. Yeah, I would say that color I don't have. I have these more neutral colors, and then I have Exhibit A in that Nars palette. But there's a reason that I don't have single blushes in these colors, is because they don't suit me. They don't suit my skin tone or my style, and I never ever reach for them. And I don't do enough dramatic artistic looks for it to be worth keeping this palette around, because everything that I do use, that I would use in here, I have dupes for elsewhere in my collection, and all the rest of them I don't use. It's also in pretty good condition. As for the pigmentation, I don't particularly love hyperpigmented blushes, and I'll swatch some of them for you. They swatch beautifully because they're very pigmented. They swatch like eyeshadows because they are like eyeshadows. They're basically just like eyeshadows in big pans. So I'm going to find somebody who wants to take this off of my hands and play around with it, because I prefer a softer, more elegant blush formula that is buildable. And I always struggle when I use these blushes to get anything less than kind of a dramatic and clownish look, which, don't get me wrong, I sometimes go for, but I would prefer to be able to choose And I also prefer to be able to really go in with my blush and apply it and buff it into my skin. And if I do that with this, I get too much pigment on my face. So this is the one that I am going to pass along. So here are the results of my declutter. After the deed is done with regards to this Anastasia Beverly Hills Glow Kit, I will just have 2 single highlighters in magnetic palettes. I will own these 3 when it comes to face palettes, and this one will be gone from my collection. I'm going to send this off to a new home. These are the survivors, but I must admit, there is a sneaky 4th. There is a face palette in the purgatory box right now. It hasn't gone through Hannah's reckoning yet, but I'm pretty sure that it is going to squeak through. So these 3 lovelies will likely be joined by a 4th in the not too distant future.
Hey guys, can I be friends with you? Can we hang out?
Sure, we would love to.
And that is it. And that really is it. I don't have any secrets to reveal in the outro this time. All of my face palettes were in the video, and everything that I decided in the video is what I have decided to stick with. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you are remembering to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.